Hey, Steve Zook, welcome back to Poke Channel. Like I said in my other video, I actually bought this guitar for myself for my birthday. If somebody's really cool out there, I may sell it. But man, this guitar sounds so nice. It's even got tens on it, and I like playing it unplugged because it just sounds beautiful. And some, it's interesting about guitars. They seem to fall into a setup. Some guitars fall into a setup better than others. The place where I bought this guitar kind of dialed it in a little bit. Still has this pickup is a little loose. These probably maybe the springs or have gotten twisted a little bit or something. Not a big deal. I don't know if I'm going to mess with it though. But I play this guitar unplugged and it just sings. But I want to talk a little bit about warming up exercises. Sometimes the best thing is just simple things like this. But and I just wanted to share how this sounds plugged, But simple warm up, like just doing 4 fingers across the board, kind of a pseudochromatic. If you want to get a little more complex, maybe do some diminished arpeggios, things like that. I like to kind of do the, the resting, the muting a little bit too sometimes. This is a great one. What you do on that one, maybe when you first do it, you're doing, I may not be a concert pitch, but here's my A if you want to tune up to me. But when you're first doing those 3 or 4 diminished arpeggios, maybe you're kind of doing it kind of like a little jagged like this. What you want to do is try to, in your mind, think of all 4 of those diminished arpeggios as one idea. And if you can do that, you can get them to kind of flow into each other a little more, kind of like this. You hear that? As opposed to where all these 4 different diminished arpeggios, which are 1 flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7, going from the root, using a major scale to figure that out. You kind of, the way you think about what you play and the way you phrase it has a lot to do with how it comes out. So if you kind of think about the next arpeggio while you're doing this one, and kind of try to flow into it, almost like going downhill on a slide or something. See, that has a little bit more fluidity than just going and then kind of stopping. So you can even kind of slightly accelerate as you do that. Another thing you can do is kind of fill in those diminished arpeggios like this. Kind of gives you a Pat Martino kind of a line. Maybe throw in a little augmented splash. Just kind of chromaticize this. Here's the diminished arpeggio, right? Kind of add some chromatics from the 2nd string. Or the 3rd or both. Little augmented splash. You get that kind of nice little pop like that. Here's a diminished lick I've showed before, but it's a great lick. It's worth working out. Maybe I'll get a little closer for this. This is really a cool lick. Make sure I don't hit my desk here. Kind of lost a little office space in my last move. I was living at a place down by the beach for 10 years. I was a great renter, and my landlord rented the place next to us for $400 a month more. He raised me up a couple $100, and I'm just like, hey man, the carpet's 10 years old. There's this issue and this issue and this issue, and this happened about 7-8 months ago, but he gave us a 60-day notice. It was pretty frustrating. But you know what? There's always a silver lining to every change in life, and there's actually some positives that came as a result of us having to move. So, it's all good, man. Anyway, check out this lick. So that's a sequence scale off the half step, whole step. half-step, whole-step scale, which you can always move in minor thirds, because just like the diminished chord repeats, every minor third becomes a natural inversion of itself. So any kind of diminished lick like that, you can move in minor thirds. It will sound really cool. So the lick again is. Sometimes then I'll go. Maybe then come in. I'm not very warmed up. Yeah, this is a nice J6. I've sold a lot of J6s, but like I said in my last video, they're it seems like the price has actually come down a little bit on them, but I think it's because all the great ones are out there and they're few and far between. People are keeping them, you know, because it's one of the best value. A good J6, which is very difficult to find, is one of the best values in an arch top, especially 17-inch wide. It blows away any Joe Pass or any of the newer Ibanez stuff. You know, Oscar Schmidt isn't even in the same ball game, but some of them aren't too bad. But yeah, if you can find especially a great Washburn J6, but like they vary greatly from guitar to guitar. But anyway, so that's a great lick for you to work on. It's a sequence scale. Now just for fun, let's turn the volume down a little bit and get a little more of the acoustic voice of the guitar. Even a little more. If you really want to tweak your mind a little bit, you work on this old Charlie Parker riff off the Diminished. This one's a real finger, you know what. Sometimes I'll do that. Give my mind more time to think about it. I'm doing this real slow, but that's a great lick. It's a little easier on saxophone than guitar. It's pretty tough on guitar. You want to work this one really slow. Try to hum it. You can chromaticize. But I love the diminished scale, but that old Charlie Parker's a great lick. You can even chromaticize that one. I'll usually start that one here. I saw Hiram Bullock do that lick once on the David Letterman show with, you know, more of an overdrive, excuse me, distortion type sound. It sounded unreal. Hiram Bullock's a great player. I don't even know if he's still around or what's going on, but that guy can definitely play, man. Very, very, you know, high level player. But here's this old Charlie Parker riff. See, that's very intervallic. That's a really intervallic creative use of the half-step, whole-step scale. Easiest thing to do is just to kind of go through it, right? That's why I do this sequence scale, which you're not just gonna run into this pattern. You have to work it out, you know. Nothing more fun. And by the way, well, maybe I'll say this for another video, but check out this. I was thinking earlier yesterday and today about adding more color to standards. And by the way, you can make $100 an hour playing standards at parties, and maybe you also play a few Dylan and Neil Young songs and maybe jam over a blues tape or something. But the guitar ladder system could really aid you in that process. But one of the things you want to do with chord melodies, you want to add more color. And I was just starting to work out a couple ideas on the beginning of Over the Rainbow because I saw Ted Green doing it online. And, you know, you can feel free to add more color to these things, you know, like... So as you look at that beginning, you got a 13 chord, and then you come in with this, which I think is like, yeah, it's like a dominant 7, flat 13, augmented, little kind of contrary motion. Because a lot of people that play chord melody just make it too predictable, you know. You don't want to be so predictable. When I used to play for $100 an hour for parties, I used to play it kind of normal the first time. And then the second time I'd add, you know, more color to it. When I studied with Horace Hatchett, who taught Howard Roberts, when Howard Roberts was a young man in Arizona, Howard Roberts went on to form the Musicians Institute in North Hollywood. But Horace Hatchett was his teacher when he was young, and I studied with Horace like at least 4 times when I was young. But he used to always talk about the joy of switching chords. You don't have to stick to the same chord type that's in the chart, you know. Maybe learn it that way at first and play through the chords and play through the melody. And you'll put the melody in the treble strings, and you don't have to play a chord for every melody note. You can use octaves. You can just do a single note, but don't be afraid to add some color to your playing. So I think this is another good example. It's like if I do this song. So I'm adding a little more color to a rainy day like that. But I kind of like this beginning. Maybe I'll work out Over the Rainbow. Cool. Maybe I'll just work that song out just for fun. I just did so much of that when I was younger. I got a little burned out on it, to be real honest with you. And it's you know, to me, playing guitar is about freedom, and you know, playing guitar to me is about being a composer and listening to ideas from the universe and playing them and finding them. And it's just, you know, it's a real joy. But it's big, big, big on freedom in my mind. So I tend not to play the standards as much as I used to. But if you're into standards and you really want to open up your ear and be able to take standards somewhere interesting and not be so predictable and add color to them, that the guitar ladder system's a must-do. I've sold my guitar ladder system to a lot of very, very advanced players as well as intermediate players, and they've all taken some real quantum leaps, so it's really cool. Anyway, folks, so one more time that diminished lick. And then that Charlie Parker. Whoops. I'll just stop there. All right, folks, take care. I don't know if I'm selling this guitar or not yet. I just love it. It just sounds absolutely unbelievable. All right, take care. Bye-bye.